Assalamu alaikum. Hello guys. This video is a refutation to a recent video of David where he desperately attempts to prove that Quran has not been preserved. So let's see his video.
As is often the case when Muslim scholars explain the history of the Quran, however, there are holes in the narrative. Let's read a few passages from Sahih al-Bukhari, and we'll start to see the problem. Sahih al-Bukhari, 4679. Narrated Zayd bin Thabit al-Ansari, who was one of those who used to write the divine revelation, Abu Bakr sent for me after the heavy casualties among the warriors of the Battle of Yamamah, where a great number of Qurra, those who know the Quran by heart, were killed. Umar was present with Abu Bakr, who said, Umar has come to me and said, the people have suffered heavy casualties on the day of the Battle of Yamamah, and I am afraid that there will be more casualties among the Qurra at other battlefields, whereby a large part of the Quran may be lost unless you collect it. And I am of the opinion that you should collect the Quran. Abu Bakr added, I said to Umar, how can I do something which Allah's messenger has not done? Umar said to me, by Allah, it is really a good thing. So Umar kept on pressing, trying to persuade me to accept his proposal till Allah opened my bosom for it, and I had the same opinion as Umar. Zayd bin Thabit added, Umar was sitting with him, Abu Bakr, and was quiet. Abu Bakr said to me, you are a wise young man, and we do not suspect you of telling lies or of forgetfulness, and you used to write the divine revelation for Allah's messenger. Therefore look for the Quran and collect it in one manuscript. Look for the Quran? I thought they all knew it. By Allah, if he, Abu Bakr, had ordered me to shift one of the mountains from its place, it would not have been harder for me than what he had ordered me concerning the collection of the Quran. I said to both of them, how dare you do a thing which the Prophet has not done? Abu Bakr said, by Allah, it is really a good thing. So I kept on arguing with him about it till Allah opened my bosom for that which he had opened the bosoms of Abu Bakr and Umar. So I started to search. You had to search? I thought they all had it memorized. I started to search for the Quranic material and to collect it from parchments, scapula, leaf stalks of date palms, and from the memories of men who knew it by heart. I found with Khuzaymah 2 verses of Surat at-Tawbah, which I had not found with anybody else. And they were, verily there has come unto you a messenger, Muhammad, from amongst yourselves, i.e. whom you know well. It grieves him that you should receive any injury or difficulty. He, Muhammad, is anxious over you to be rightly guided. Verse 9, 128. The manuscript on which the Quran was collected remained with Abu Bakr till Allah took him unto him, and then with Umar till Allah took him unto him, and finally it remained with Hafsa, Umar's daughter. Notice a few things from this passage. First, the reason Umar suggested collecting the Quran into a book was that the Muslims who had parts of the Quran memorized were dying in battle. Umar said, the people have suffered heavy casualties on the day of the Battle of Yamamah, and I am afraid that there will be more casualties among the Qurra at other battlefields whereby a large part of the Quran may be lost unless you collect it. Strange, didn't Allah promise that he would protect the Quran?
Yes, we Muslims do believe that Quran has been preserved by Allah himself. As in the Quran Allah states, indeed it is we who send down the Quran, and indeed we will be its guardian. Chapter 15 verse 9. But this does not necessarily contradict with the assumption made by Umar radiyallahu ta'ala an. Even though Umar was one of the greatest Sahabas, but he was still human. If Allah said in the Quran something like, collect the Quran in a form of book as soon as possible, or it will get corrupted or lost, then it may have contradicted with the fact that Allah states that he will guard the Quran.
In reality, the only people who had certain passages of the Quran memorized died at the Battle of Yamamah. We read in Ibn Abi Dawud's Kitab al-Masahif, many of the passages of the Quran that were sent down were known by those who died on the day of Yamamah, but they were not known by those who survived them, nor were they written down, Nor had Abu Bakr, Umar, or Uthman by that time collected the Quran, nor were they found with even one person after them. So, numerous Quran passages were lost because the only Muslims who had the passages memorized die in battle.
Firstly, to use a passage or quotation from a book to prove your argument, we need to verify if the book is authentic and the claims are true or not. But Kitab al-Musaf is not one of the book which is considered to be entirely true, and neither did it provide evidences for its claim, like why or how the Quran has not been preserved.
Second, Abu Bakr and Zayd ibn Thabit thought it was a really strange idea to collect the Quran into a book. They had no concept of collecting the Quran into a book, but they decided that it's better than losing more of the Quran.
Parts of the Quran which was written was scattered, but it was not lost.
Third, Zayd says that he knew it would be extremely difficult to collect the Quran. He says, "By Allah, if he, Abu Bakr, had ordered me to shift one of the mountains from its place, it would not have been harder for me than what he ordered me concerning the collection of the Quran." But if Muslims today are correct and tons of early Muslims had the Quran memorized word for word, wouldn't it be pretty easy to make a manuscript of the Quran?
Yes, there were many Muslims who had memorized the Quran, so according to David, it should have been a pretty easy job to just write the Quran in a Musaf by a group of people who had already memorized the Quran, and it would have been a pretty easy job if they done it in this method, but they did not do it, as this way may cause some errors, like one Muslim memorized a verse of the Quran from the Prophet in this dialect, and another memorized the same verse in a different dialect, and the argument may occur, and also it occurred during Prophet's time. And another problem with this method is that human memory is by default flawed, so mistakes may just occur. So now the question comes, how did they write the Quran? They collected parts of the Quran which was written in front or during Prophet's time, and they verified it by their memory, also the other written versions of the same verse, and then they wrote it down in a Musaf. So in this way the errors do not occur.
Fourth, collecting the Quran was a messy process. Zayd says, "So I started to search for the Quranic material and to collect it from parchments, scapula, leaf stalks of date palms, and from the memories of men who knew it by heart." Now wait a minute. Shouldn't Zayd ibn Thabit know the Quran by heart? Why would he need parchments and scapula and leaf stalks and other people? Why? Because the modern Muslim narrative is complete nonsense.
I just answered it, that why they needed the written versions, but in one sentence the answer would be to be 100% sure that a verse from the Quran is a verse from the Quran.
Fifth, contrary to today's narrative, Zayd admits that there were parts of the Quran that he could only find with a particular Muslim. He says, "I found with Khuzaymah 2 verses of Surat at-Tawbah which I had not found with anybody else." Here again, if so many Muslims had the Quran perfectly memorized, wouldn't Zayd have been able to find these verses with lots of Muslims? Wouldn't he know the verses himself? And yet he only found them with one man.
Actually, here he is talking about the written versions of the verses. I'm going to prove this claim of mine by a hadith which David himself would use in the video to prove his argument. I really would not recommend you to fast forward.
We're about to see that Zayd's original Quran is not the same as today's Quran. Sahih al-Bukhari, 4987. Narrated Anas bin Malik, Hudhaifa bin al-Yaman came to Uthman at the time when the people of Sham and the people of Iraq were waging war to conquer Armenia and Azerbaijan. Hudhaifa was afraid of the people of Sham and Iraq, differences in the recitation of the Quran. So he said to Uthman, "O chief of the believers, save this nation before they differ about the book, the Quran, as Jews and the Christians did before them." So Uthman sent a message to Hafsa saying, "Send us the manuscript of the Quran so that we may compile the Quranic materials in perfect copies and return the manuscript to you." Hafsa sent it to Uthman. She sent Zayd's original Quran to Uthman. Uthman then ordered Zayd bin Thabit, Abdullah bin az-Zubair, Sa'id bin al-As, and Abdurrahman bin Harith bin Hisham to copy the original manuscript perfectly. Uthman said to the three Qurayshi men, "In case you disagree with Zayd bin Thabit on any point in the Quran, then write it in the dialect of Quraysh as the Quran was revealed in their tongue." They did so, and when they had written many copies, Uthman returned the original manuscripts to Hafsa. Uthman sent to every Muslim province one copy of what they had copied and ordered that all the other Quranic materials, whether written in fragmentary manuscripts or whole copies, be burnt. Notice three things here. First, Muslims were reciting different versions of the Quran. Hudhaifa was afraid of the people of Sham and Iraq, differences in the recitation of the Quran. That's strange, since there's only one Quran perfectly preserved since the time of Muhammad.
Well, Quran is a multiform scripture. It can be recited in multiple ways, and at different recitations, the meaning may differ very slightly. Like, take for example, Maliki Yawmiddin, the owner of Day of Resurrection, and Maliki Yawmiddin, King of Day of Resurrection. Both of the recitations, or you can say qira'ats, are correct and from the Prophet, but the meanings differ very slightly. I also linked a video in description. You should definitely check it out. It explains in more depth the difference in recitations and what you need to know.
Second, if you think these are only minor differences, read the passage. Hudhaifa says, "Save this nation before they differ about the book, the Quran, as Jews and the Christians did before them." There are major differences between Jews and Christians. Hudhaifa says that if Uthman doesn't intervene, Muslims will end up differing as much as Jews and Christians.
Yes, there were major differences between them, as they had just copied the Quran from another copy, and by this process human errors gradually occurred and it started causing problems. And just to be clear, the difference in recitations or dialects cause very minor difference, and the main idea usually remains the same. I provided another video link. You should definitely check it out.
Third, Zayd and co. aren't simply making a word-for-word copy of Zayd's earlier Quran, because Uthman admits that the team might have some disagreements. Uthman says, "In case you disagree with Zayd bin Thabit on any point in the Quran, then write it in the dialect of Quraysh as the Quran was revealed in their tongue." That's strange. I thought the Quran was revealed in 7 dialects. But Uthman says it was only revealed in 1.
Actually, Quran was revealed in Qurayshi dialect, but the Prophet was given permission from Allah to teach in other dialects. The hadith that David used proves that Quran was revealed in Qurayshi dialect, and this following hadith proves my second part of the claim. The hadith states, "The Quran has been revealed to you to be recited in several ways, so recite of that which is easier for you." It does not say Quran was revealed in different dialects, but rather states that Quran was revealed to be recited in different dialects.
That when Uthman ordered them to copy the original manuscript perfectly, he meant copy this, but try to make it perfect, and not make an exact copy. If they were making exact copies, there wouldn't have been any room for disagreement.
It is normal to have disagreements, as some Sahabas learned the Quran from the Prophet in this dialect and some in another dialect. And also a disagreement like this occurred during Prophet's time.
Sahih al-Bukhari 4988. Zayd bin Thabit added, "A verse from Surat al-Azab was missed by me when we copied the Quran, and I used to hear Allah's Messenger reciting it. So we searched for it." They had to search for it? I thought they all knew it by heart. "So we searched for it and found it with Khuzaymah bin Thabit al-Ansari. That verse was, "Among the believers are men who have been true in their covenant with Allah." Verse 33-23.
This hadith itself actually proves that they searched for the written copies of the Quran, which was written during Prophet's time, and then verified it by their memory and also other written versions of the same verse. The proof for my claim is, if you read the hadith carefully, Zayd says he had to search for the verse, and you can only search for something when you know it is there.
Sahih al-Bukhari 4784. Narrated Zayd bin Thabit, when we collected the fragmentary manuscripts of the Quran into copies, I missed one of the verses of Surat al-Ahzab which I used to hear Allah's Messenger reciting. Finally, I did not find it with anybody except Khuzaymah al-Ansari, whose witness was considered by Allah's Messenger equal to the witness of 2 men. And that verse was, "Among the believers are men who have been true to their covenant with Allah." 33-23. Notice, this was when Zayd and co. were making the copies, so this was during the caliphate of Uthman. Now, if they were simply copying Zayd's earlier version of the Quran, why were they using what Zayd called fragmentary manuscripts? Apparently, Zayd didn't think that any of the earlier manuscripts were complete. They were all fragmentary, including his. But here's what's interesting. Even though Zayd had his original version of the Quran, and even though he had numerous other manuscripts, he noticed that something was missing from all of them. He remembered a verse that he couldn't find anywhere. He went looking for it, and he eventually found it with Khuzaymah al-Ansari, the same Muslim who was the only Muslim who remembered the last 2 verses of Surah 9. Here again, I thought that there were hundreds of Muslims who had memorized the entire Quran, word for word. And yet, there were verses that no one except Khuzaymah could remember.
Yes, they did not just copy the Quran which was written during the time of Abu Bakr, but they verified it, and it's not like Sahabas did not knew the verse. Even most likely Zayd also knew the verse, but he was searching for the written version which was written during time of Prophet, as errors may occur in human memory. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe. Until next time, Assalamu alaikum.